Test. Oh. Yay, it works. Hello. I know somebody here has to be able to whistle. All right. Well, it is 5:32, and so respecting everyone's time, we want to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for attending. My name is Kimberly Matthews. I am the acting village manager for the village of Islamorada. So it's a pleasure to have all of you here today so that we can talk about the potential ballpark field, the baseball field renovations. We're going to do this in two parts. Now, we have a lot of people here. We do still have some seats, so if a few more people either need a seat or want a seat, I think we can accommodate you. If you don't, that's fine. We're going to do this in two parts. So I want to make sure that we're very clear because, you know, with this many people, with this kind of a topic, we want to make sure that we have it smoothly in order. So part A, we're going to do a presentation by the school district. They're going to show us exactly what they have in mind for the ballpark renovations, okay? And then part of that second part of A, so part A, part 2, is going to be questions. So no commentary, no comments, just questions, and then the school district will answer questions until you all run out of questions. Sound good? Okay. Part B will be open public comment. Now, because this is not a council meeting and we do not have any members of council present, we are going to do 3 minutes per. Oh, I'm sorry, Henry. I'm so sorry. Councilman Rosenthal, so thank you so much for being here. Sorry I'm not recognizing elected officials, otherwise I would. School board member John Dick, yeah. And Sue. All right, Councilwoman Sue, board member Sue. And so anyway, that's what we're gonna do. So part B is going to be open public comment. We're going to do 3 minutes. So we're not necessarily going to do the whole organizational people get 5 minutes, that kind of thing, because, this isn't that kind of a format of meeting. So can we all agree on that? Okay, super. So part A, no commentary. If you'd like to ask a question about the ballpark of the school district, you can come up to this podium right here. I'm going to put the microphone back. After the school district gets done, Pat LaFear is going to come up. He's going to answer any questions and all questions that you have. And then we will move on to part B, and that will be open public comment so that both council folks who are here, school board members who are here, and I can hear what you have to say, your thoughts and ideas about this issue, and then we'll go from there. All right, so again, we're having this meeting because the village council felt very strongly that we knew there was a lot of feelings about this project, and we wanted to make sure that we all understood and you all had the opportunity to hear from the school district about what it was they wanted. We want an open and transparent process. So I did see one hand raised. Question?
Just wondering about, there's been some public comment done by email. Do we hear those, or what's the protocol?
So that was sent to, it was communication sent to council. And so that was handled through our village clerk, and it was forwarded to the council members. So they have that at their disposal as they move forward making decisions, just as they will have while we are not broadcasting tonight's meeting, because we felt like those of you who cared enough to be here, you would be here, so that we wanted to hear what you had to say. And if you weren't able to be here, we weren't going to open that up. Just as we did a recent meeting about the noise ordinance that was extremely successful. And so we got a lot of positive feedback, so we thought we would follow that same model because it went very, very well. We got a lot of positive feedback. So, yes? Oh, no, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear about that. We are recording it, and council will be able to watch it later and hear everything you all have to say. Yes?
What about the rest of the public being able to view this that you didn't broadcast live? In other words,
Again, it's recorded. It will be posted on our website, and anyone and council who would like to view it will be able to view it. All right, so we're all clear on the rules for this evening's event. Part A, presentation, questions only. Part B, and I will come up in between, so we're clear about Part A, meaning Part B. Part B, open public comment. You can express any of your individual feelings that you have on the project. And when we get to that part, you will also know, Councilwoman Jolynn, thank you for joining us. I acknowledged all the elected officials beforehand, so I wanted to acknowledge you. So when we get to Part B, I will come up, I will segue into that so you know that we're ready for public comment. Okay? All right. Thanks so much. And school district, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Kimberly. I want to thank you and the village staff for giving us the opportunity to come up in front of the community here and express what it is that we want to do. The baseball program at Coral Shores High School reached out to the district staff. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know me, I'm part of the district staff down in Key West. I'm Pat LaFear, Executive Director of Operations. They reached out to us back in 2021 about making improvements to the baseball field here at Founders Park. And that's what started the process. It came from the school. This is not coming from the district. It's coming from the baseball program at Coral Shores High School. So I'm going to get out of the way and let the athletic director talk about what that kind of thought was and what they think coming from, this is their program. This is not a school district program. So I wanted you to hear from Mr. Holly on that.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm humbled and I'm honored to be here today. If you don't know me, my name is Ed Holly. I'm the athletic director at Coral Shores High School. What an historic night. Having a chance to talk about a new ballpark at Founders Park that's going to impact generations and generations of Canes. It is an exciting time to be here. As I pulled up, it was simple. I saw Coach Myers out there with Easton playing catch. I go out to the Little League fields, and the Little League fields are beaming with future student athletes and Canes and young people. And the Little League is excited, and it's on talking about it, and everybody's excited about it, and everybody's excited. Coach, when are we going to get ours? Coach, when are we going to have the opportunity? Hey, listen, Key West got theirs, Marathon guys. When does it come to Coral Shores? Well, this is what's an exciting time it is. Our student athletes deserve the best. They come in, they work hard, they compete, they do everything we ask for. They are model citizens in the classroom. They're student leaders, and they carry that to the ball field. And having a first-class facility not only will project them to the future, but it improves not only the school, but the community, and in my humble opinion, the greatest community you can possibly live on. And yes, our baseball team right now is 2-0. And yes, we're leading in the district championship route. And yes, we expect to win the district. And you see these guys sit here putting the hard work in and doing everything they possibly can. And yes, we have a really big game 45 miles south in a couple weeks, and we're looking forward to it. But everything's just building. It's like a snowball. It's building. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because when we talk about our guys, I say, guys, listen, we have an 8-year plan at Coral Shores High School in athletics, 4 years to get across the stage at Coral Shores, and then 4 years. And listen, we're going to celebrate that stage, but we're going to have a huge party when you graduate from college. And we have college baseball players right here in our midst. We have guys who, when we give them the first-class facility they deserve, their star's going to go through the roof. They're going to have an opportunity to play college baseball. They're going to have an opportunity to carry wherever we go to spread Coral Shores. Everything that we do, everything that we stand for, who we are, our core values. But we need your help, and we need the ballpark to achieve their dreams. This is a great chance. Listen, on a ball field, and you get on that pitcher's mound. It's you and the ball and the batter. It's an unbelievable chance to compete. When a guy comes up, he can't hide behind video games. He can't hide behind social media. He's out there in front of God and everybody, and he's just doing his best, and he's working, and he's competing. And guess what? Sometimes he's going to succeed, and sometimes he's going to fail. But having that opportunity and putting our guys in the best possible position. When I go to class, when my boss, Miss Leotard, says, Coach, you got to be the best teacher you can possibly be. The best. Not the second best or the third best. You have to be the best. So when we come to our field, we want the best for our guys. It's going to help us achieve greatness. It's going to help them move on, and it's going to affect generations forever. So when I go back to my saying of being a historic night and having a chance to talk about it, this is going to change lives in the Upper Keys forever. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate the passion and the motivation, because that's what it's all about, the passion and the motivation that these student athletes have. So as I indicated, we've been working with the village staff since back in 2021 when the baseball program first reached out to us. We set up a couple of meetings with village staff, and the first task at hand was put together a scope of work. What exactly did the baseball program want to do with the facility here at Founders? So it took a back and forth process between village staff and the district staff and the ball sponsors, the stakeholders with the baseball program, and we ultimately agreed upon a scope of work that I'll go over here in just a little bit. That scope of work became the basis of a request for proposals, which is what we put out for this project, and it goes out to essentially the world, and different contractors bid on this request for proposals, and then we put together a bid committee to review those bid proposals and ultimately select a contractor, which is where we're at in the process right now. We don't have a contract yet, and we're waiting. We intentionally included the village manager on that contract as a signatory, so we can't get anywhere without village council and village manager approval. So that's where we're at right now, and I'll go over a little bit that more in detail here in just a little bit. The other big point I want to make, to be clear, that there is no current design, there is no current plan. We need to execute this contract so we can start the design process with the contractor, and that's where we're at. We are really at step zero, square zero on this project, and there is going to be opportunity for the village council at a minimum to engage all the way throughout the process. There's really 4 major steps in any construction or renovation project, and at each of those phases, each of those steps will come back to the village council at a minimum, and even to another community meeting if the village council so directs, to explain where we are, what our current plan is, and take feedback from both the community and the council. So really just kind of getting started. So I only have just a couple of slides to go through. I've got a number of overheads of the park in case when we get to the Q&A part that we need to point to it and indicate what exactly we've got going on. So I talked about the scope of work. This is what we put together in conjunction with village staff and the baseball program at Coral Shores. Really the major part of the project is the intent and the desire to cover the surface with artificial turf as opposed to natural grass. We've done that at 2 other locations in the school district, and both from the athletic program standpoint and from a facilities maintenance standpoint, it's been highly successful. In addition to putting artificial turf on the field, we intend to construct a multi-use building. Again, just starting the process. We don't have a design for this building, but we think it's probably going to be in the vicinity of 2,000 square feet, maybe a little less. That's going to have a concession, a press box, locker room, restrooms, and that type of facility to be able to use for the baseball program. The bleachers that are there are in bad shape. They're old and they need to be replaced, so we intend to replace them with brand new bleachers, probably about the same seating capacity, although rumor has it the crowds have been a little bit more robust here this season, so if we need to consider a few more rows of bleachers, that's something we can consider. We'll need to get new dugouts, new batting cages, and then the perimeter fencing will all need to be redone. So that's really it. The biggest piece of the project is the installation of an artificial surface and the construction of a modest multi-use building, again, 2,000 square feet or less. So where are we at in the process and how does it work? As I said just a little bit ago, we're at the contract approval process. We don't even have a project technically until we get the go-ahead from the village council. And that's why we're here in front of you, because they asked us to put a community meeting together so we could hear So we could tell you what the Coral Shores High School program wants to do with the park, and we could hear from the community on what their concerns were. So the design phase, as I said, is in 4 phases. You see them listed there, and at the end of each phase, there'll be a plan that we'll bring forward to the school board to consider and to the village council to consider. And if there needs to be more community meetings in conjunction with that, we can do that. Ultimately, at the end of that process, they come to us with a guaranteed maximum price. The school board has currently $5 million budgeted for this project, and we're not asking the village of Islamorada for any money at all for it. So that's really the slides that I have. I think we'll go to the Q&A thing, Kimberly, if that's okay with you.
Well, didn't mean to do that. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what we'd like to do is just anyone who has questions, not comments, because we're going to do that, remember, in Part B, questions for the school district about the project, whether they be artificial turf, size, building, anything like that. Any questions you have, if you just want to queue up right here, we're going to take questions at this microphone. Just go ahead and queue up.
Did you want them to identify themselves or anything like that, Kim?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I know, it's funny. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and identify yourself by name and address, that'd be great.
Hi, Don Horton at 47 Schooner Bay Road. Thank you for the presentation. My question is, have y'all calculated how much water we're going to be saving so we're not watering grass, and how many pounds of fertilizer we're going to be saving that we're not fertilizing the lawn?
I don't have hard numbers on you, but you make a very valid point. I did refer to earlier the fact that we're using artificial in 2 other locations in the district, and it was a athletic department request that got us looking at that, but from a facilities maintenance perspective, significantly easier and more cost efficient to maintain an artificial surface than a natural grass surface. If you talk to the coach and the players now, and it's true up and down the Keys, the struggle with maintaining a baseball field and keeping it level and safe for balls to be played off of is a challenge in this environment. And an artificial surface just takes all of that away from it.
Thank you. My name is John Ware. I live next door at 87200 Overseas Highway. Specifically on your list regarding the multiple-use building, beyond the right field foul line, there is a small yellow building roughly across the entranceway from the Chamber of Commerce building, which I believe constitutes a multi-use building. It has restrooms. There's a door with a sign on it that says concession stand that I've never seen used, and I believe something says locker room. Do you yet have it in your plans whether you would be tearing that building down and renovating, or would it be something closer to home plate, more integrated with the bleachers and dugouts?
Yeah, that's what the request of the program was, to have something more accessible, because that particular building really isn't for that, for the purpose it was built for. We, the school district, don't have any desires on what to do with that building, but we have heard that there may be interest from the village in doing something with that program. So as always, we'd love to partner with the village on figuring out what the best use of that facility would be.
Alina Davis, Village of Islamorada resident. I understand that you have a facility that you greatly improved in Marathon and in Key West. Were those 2 sites owned by the school board?
Yes, that's the significant difference with this project compared to all the other projects we've done recently on with the school board. Is they've all been on school board property, which is why we have to reach out to the village council, which is why we're having a community meeting with the village. This is a little bit different than what the projects we've had before were. So we want to make sure, as Kimberly stated, we want to be as transparent as possible in this process, because we understand it's It's a joint use field. Yeah, it's a baseball field when the baseball players are on it, but when they're not, it's still a community park, and we intend to still allow those uses. It gets used for kickball now, it gets used for an Easter egg hunt, I understand, and there's no reason we can't continue to do not only all of that, but more, because it's going to be an artificial surface and make it open up for more community use options.
Thank you.
My name is Van Cadenhead, and I'd like to ask you about the artificial turf. And have you done research on the amount of injuries that artificial turf is connected with? There are numerous professional football teams that have torn up the artificial turf that was put down in their stadiums because the players didn't want to play on it because they kept getting hurt with ankles and knees. And the natural grass is, to me, the best surface to play baseball on or football, either one. So, excuse me?
Questions, not commentary.
Okay. Well, I just am asking you if you have researched the amount of injuries that have resulted from artificial turf and why you think it's better than grass, which for 25 years is, we've had a
Okay,
field
I'll
that
answer
worked
the question
fine.
now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we did a significant amount of research because of that exact concern before we installed our first field. If you do the research, you'll find both sides of the safety argument. The only side I see, to your point, is the recent conversations at the National Football League level with regard to injuries at that level. We don't see at the high school level any indication at all that there's an increased injury with any sport, in particular baseball. So we've had the first field in the district for over 5 years. I think it's coming up on 6 years. I think this is its 6th season, and haven't had any issues with injuries whatsoever.
Yes, sir. Now, on your building that you're going to deactivate over there in the corner, that served for like 25 years for the Coral Shores High School football or baseball team to play on since the incorporation and since Coral Shores was built, and it served quite well. I mean, we've had a lot of people come out of this baseball program.
Is there a question?
Yes, sir. Do you think that it's worth $5 million to gentrify this park when it's been a perfect part of Islamorada's park for 25 years? I mean, I understand that there's things that need to be done.
Okay, I'll answer the question now, sir. I'll answer the question now. Yes, we believe the request of the Coral Shores High School baseball program to make improvements on their field so they could continue to compete along with the other teams in this district and along with the other teams in this state at the same level, we think it's appropriate.
Well, do you think it's appropriate that the public is just now being brought into this after 3 years?
But that's the reason we're here, is so this community can provide input, and that's why we're here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good evening, Josh Morera, president of the Upper Keys Little League. Is it true that all fields in Key West have artificial turf, and I think you said it, that they haven't had an injury in over 6 years with those fields?
Let me answer the second one first. We haven't had any turf-related injuries on any of the 2 fields that we've got in Key West right now for the school district. With regard to the other fields in Key West that the city has replaced, I think it's 4 or 5 now facilities that have gone to artificial in the city of Key West, and it's for the same. It's for the same purpose. The artificial surface is easier and more cost-effective to maintain, period, and ultimately safer because it's so difficult to keep a playing surface. When you use it as much as you do, especially down there, it's almost impossible to keep it maintained to a level that prevents injuries.
Yeah, another question is it true, is it about 70% of your cost of maintenance will be gone with the watering of fields and fertilizing and reseeding every year? And
I don't have the exact number, and that may be a little bit excessive, but there's absolutely no question in the cost savings with regard to maintenance, the watering and the fertilizer. Now, don't get me wrong, there still is maintenance required. There's different equipment that you've got to use to keep the field up. So it's not like you just put it in and let it go. We still have maintenance required. So.
And that leads right into my last question, is that nobody will actually lose jobs because the maintenance will still be done on the field.
Oh,
there still
no
needs to be done
question,
everything.
no question. We still have the same staff we've always had down in Key West maintaining our artificial surfaces.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Yes, Joe Wishmeyer, Plantation Key. A couple of questions. I heard you say that when it's not being used by baseball, then the residents will still have access to all the facilities there, the buildings and the field, or is that only going to be for organized things from the school board?
That's entirely up to the village staff. This is a joint use facility. When the baseball program is on it, it'll be used for baseball. When we're not, it's used for whatever the village decides to use it for.
Okay. The second question, you noticed all the nice trees and everything that are all around. Exactly where is the building going to go? And if you say it's 2,000 square feet or less, is that going to be a single-story building so that it doesn't like stand out? Because there's nothing in this park that's like over one story, except, of course, for the fire department and all. So what will you be doing to try to keep it so that everything stays kind of the same?
So as I stated at the beginning, we don't have a design. We're just starting the process. Once we start putting conceptual designs together, we've already heard input from the community on the desire to keep all the trees intact. We've already heard input from the community regarding the size, the height of the building. So we'll take that into account at the very start of the process. So the first conceptual designs that come out of this will be put together with that in mind, and we'll bring that back to the school board and the village council to consider, and if desired, have another community meeting to review them as well.
So the last question is, everything will have to go through the council step at a time, and if the council says,
at least
no,
4
we don't
times.
like that building, then you'll have to
Absolutely,
go back.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
For the record, I'm Captain Ed Davidson. I own properties and businesses in Islamorada and in Marathon, and I spent 4 years elected to the school board dealing with Captain LaFear many times. We both used to be Navy fighter pilots. Don't get any better than that. However, the literature says that AstroTurf in these kinds of climates gets pretty hot and that it needs to be cooled once in a while, and that's some water use. So it's not exactly water-free. And there's another problem.
Captain, no, we need a question. We need a question.
There is going to be a question.
Okay.
Okay. Your original bid drawing shows a stadium here. There's about 30 native trees there. Where is there room for a stadium?
The rendition you're describing came from the bid proposal, and it has nothing to do with the scope of work for this project. They don't match, and that rendition was purely something that the contractor included to show what is in the realm of their capability, if so requested, and we're not requesting a facility of that type.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You're a very convincing and forceful guy. You've been talking to the contractor for 2 years. You signed a $5 million bid for him.
Sure. Is there a question there, Ed? We got public comment coming soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Are you stating that you're not going to touch any of the 89 native trees that are in that photograph?
Because of the input from yourself and everybody else concerned with the trees, our intent is to approach this project, because we don't have a design yet, and avoid having to take down any trees. That's our intent, because of the input we've received here.
I'll remember that.
Just a question for clarity, Mr. LaFear. Am I correct in assuming that there are other interlocal agreements between the Coral Shore School Board and the village? Or is this the lone one?
No, there's a second one that deals with there's this one that deals with the ball field and Coral Shores High School's use of the ball field. There's a second one that speaks to the fire station, the Hurricane Monument, the library, and those pieces of property. Two separate ILAs. The second one I just mentioned has been updated recently. The one for the ball field is in staffing now with the village and the school board. We're getting real close to finalizing that one.
But I am correct in thinking that the school board owns the property that Station 20 is on. They own the monument, they own the library, they own Public Beach. Is that correct?
We've had a long history of dealing with the village on property agreements, and I don't think that this is going to be any different. We've got a great relationship with the village.
I'm Jennifer. I live in Tavernier. I had a question about the backstop. First, the question is, in Key West and Marathon, I'm pretty familiar with the baseball fields, but is there ever a time that you've ever been that you've seen the ball go over the backstop into traffic or streets?
We do all that we can to avoid that, and we understand that there's some concern here with the backstop, and as part of the plan on redoing the fencing, there's discussions that we will put in front of the architect if and when we do get a contract, looking at options to move the backstop forward. It'll do two things. It'll catch more foul balls based on how we build it, and it'll also create some more room for us to build the facility that we want to use.
And so what I'm hearing is that the backstop will be more safe compared to what?
Absolutely. That's part of our intent.
And are you
Absolutely.
planning on making either higher or having it over?
Yeah, a complete relook of not only the location of the backstop, but the design of how it's. I mean, we recognize the concern with the foul balls, and we want to do something to fix it.
So you're saying pretty determined that it going into the highway during games while people are driving like 50 miles an hour, that will prevent a lot more. And
our intent is to avoid that. And yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Ken Phillipson, Islamorada. How many student athletes use this program? I think it's fantastic.
I'm going to have to defer to the athletic director.
On the baseball team, we have
30? Is that made up primarily from seniors and on down, or from freshmen up?
Varsity and junior varsity.
Is there like 7th and 8th grade programs too?
I'd like to add something if I can. We actually have a developed baseball program that serves
Come on up. Come on up.
We just want to make sure you're recorded. So.
I can answer that question further to the high school. We started a program, Steady Bats, a baseball development program about 3 years ago. And we're serving athletes from 9 years old to 19 years old from July to December. So yeah, we have 75 registered players, and all those players come back every year because they like the development and they like the field and they're looking forward to a better facility. Joe Molinaro. Joe Molinaro was the high school coach for the last 3 years, a local business owner.
Yes, we have a varsity team, a junior varsity team, a middle school team, and obviously
25 teams in Little League.
25 teams in the
Kimberly, are we done with questions? Oh, no, I thought we were done.
So close.
I have two questions. Hi, I'm Denise Downing. I live in Tavernier. The first question goes to the numbers of folks. By the way, let me just say, my dad was the first football coach at Carl Park High School in Miami. I grew up as a coach's kid. I love athletics. It's good stuff. But I am also concerned about a few other things. So my two questions quickly are, one, it was just mentioned numbers that went, including Little Leagues. Is Little League usage part of this potential contract?
Again,
haven't heard that.
The contract the interlocal agreement is for the use of the high school baseball program. Any other uses that the Village Parks and Rec Department want to use this field for, whether it's for other baseball programs or kickball or Easter egg hunts, it's entirely open for all those uses.
Right.
It's a community park, a community field.
But the interlocal contract is specific to the high school, the use by the high school baseball teams.
Yes.
Okay. Second thing is an environmental question. I haven't heard it. I probably don't have the right words. When you, what is the word when there's something that the water has to go through to the ground? How does the use of artificial turf affect that requirement that all of us, I believe, have to take into consideration when we build?
So as part of the project, we will have to hire the contractor will have to include a civil engineer who will be responsible for putting a stormwater drainage system together that goes hand in hand with the installation of the artificial surface. So all of that will be presented as part of the plans as we move through the design phase. But for all of our projects, countywide, obviously, we're in a tropical storm area. You've got to have a very sound, very strong plan to handle on-site stormwater, and that's something that we'll take into consideration here, just like we have at the other two artificial fields we've already put in.
Yes, Joe Richmeyer, Plantation Keegan. You're making it sound like it's more just for baseball, except unless the council wants to do something else with it. Is it not true? Aren't you going to try to do like lacrosse and other things there to keep it more busier? Or are you saying it's just strictly with the Coral Shores baseball team and anything else the council wants?
The interlocal agreement speaks specifically to the baseball program, but if there are other uses from the Coral Shores Athletics Department perspective to use, we will negotiate that with the village based on their uses.
The question is, do you still intend, as you did at the school board meeting, which I attended, as you'll recall, to demand, as several school board members also did at that meeting, that you be granted 24/7, 365 gate, lock, and key, year-round possessory interest in that? You did at the school board meeting.
I never said that, no. Ed.
Well, your advisors did.
No, it's a joint use facility.
Okay, I wanted to make you say that again.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much. So as I promised, I'm doing the intermission. So we're going to move on to part B, and this is open public comment. Anyone who would like to, please feel free to queue up at the microphone. You will each have 3 minutes to speak for yourself. You can note if you are representing an agency, we're not going to do the 5 minutes as we would normally do in a council meeting because this is not a council meeting. However, we welcome all public comment at this time. So, and please, and I might have been remiss, but I want to reiterate, if I didn't say it, I love having coaches in the room. You guys are so great at that. Shh. And teachers. So anyway, if I didn't say it clearly enough, I want to make sure that we're very, very clear. The council really was adamant that we wanted to make sure that this was a transparent process, that the village had and our community had every opportunity to provide feedback. This is not the only opportunity. This will be a lengthy process. It will have many stages, as Mr. LaFear has indicated. And during each of those stages, if the council so chooses, we will come back to the community and hold another of these meetings, and we will review it further. So please don't feel like this is your last and only hope for making a comment and public position on this, but we do welcome anything that you have to say. And again, it is being recorded, and I'm sure that all of the council people will be very interested to see what you have to say. So thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is John Weir. I had introduced myself earlier. In addition to being a resident of the village, I am also a retired pediatrician, and I am a member of the Parks and Rec Committee for the village. When this was first brought to the Parks and Rec Committee, the issue was raised, as it has been this evening, specifically regarding the use of artificial surface. So I did a little research. The issues that have been discussed with respect to injuries on artificial surface regarding football and other sports simply do not apply in baseball. Specifically, they do not apply to the outfield. By statistics, the main 3 causes of injury in a baseball outfield are 1, a player tripping when a small animal has dug a hole, 2, a player tripping when a sprinkler head does not retract, and 3, injuries at the fence line when the natural grass overgrows the fence and the player cannot see the fence line. Those are the main injuries associated with the baseball outfield, and the football and other sport-related injuries simply do not apply in this scenario. If we have artificial surface, all 3 of those potential sources of injury go away. So besides wholeheartedly supporting this project, I specifically, as a retired pediatrician, wholeheartedly support the use of artificial surface. Thank you.
So my name is Tony Hammond, and I am now, over the last month or so, the head baseball coach at Coral Shores High School. I have over 50 years of experience, not just coaching baseball, but also maintaining the ball field. And I can tell you that it is an almost impossible task in the environment we live in, the amount of use we have on it. The other day, and I'm a baseball purist, I started out in this pursuit believing we should have sod. It should be all grass. I am no longer that. I walked the baseball field before I accepted this position, and I said, Rich, I thought you were embellishing how bad the field was. I said, it's worse than you said it was. This is about as bad as my field was at Island Christian, and I worked my tail off to maintain it. I can tell you that you're spending just over $2,000 a month on the water bill, and we are responsible for 5 months, and the village is responsible for 7 months. So this is a huge savings. I believe that this is the only feasible surface solution for the multi-sport use that will happen in the 7 months after the baseball team uses it, because it's used all the time. It is already being used all the time, including kickball in the middle of the infield, which is destroying the field. So that's a tough spot to be in. I went to Key West specifically this Saturday to coach a JV game, but also I wanted to accomplish 2 things. One, I wanted to interview the coaches, and I wanted to see the grounds and video the grounds myself. I am absolutely convinced that that's the only way to go. It is the safest. I didn't see a single hop that did anything other than just do a pure roll on that field. I don't know how you would destroy that field, honestly. And we'll have to put some regulations in about things like chewing gum and things like that, but that's minor compared to what we have going on right now. I'm a huge fan now. I interviewed the coaches because I had a whole game to do so, and I said, what do you guys think? And the one old guy was an old guy from Cuba who'd been in baseball his entire life, probably my age. And he said, oh, this is the best. I wouldn't have it any other way. The head coach, absolutely exactly what we have to have here. So I am now 100% positive, as was the staff. One last thing real quick, and that is the water, the pesticides, the weed killer, and the fertilizer that we're putting on that field it's a win-win for all of us. We need to make sure that we are not being an embarrassment and have teams that will come down here and play us because we have a state-of-the-art field.
Once again, I'm Don Horton and on Plantation Key. And I did just a quick little bit of research on that and to follow up on what Tony said. So to maintain an average baseball field requires between 50,000 to 100,000 gallons per week during growing season. So by switching to artificial turf, we'll save on that. It's not uncommon for a groundskeeper to apply 100 to 200 pounds of fertilizer per acre per month during the growing season. So we'll be saving a whole lot on fertilizer. Typically, a baseball field, usually around 2 acres inside, could use anywhere between a few pounds to several dozen pounds of pesticides per month. So, of course, it just depends on where you live and what bugs, but we live in a bug-infested area anyway. And it's roughly between 10 to 20 gallons per fuel per month to mow an average baseball field. So we're fixing the environment by not using as much water, not as much fertilizer. We're not leaving as big of a carbon footprint. And I think having this multi-purpose field, especially the baseball field, is awesome. So I hope we continue on moving forward. Thanks.
Ready? Hi, name is Doug Minkiewicz. I live here full-time. I also coached with Joe the last 3 years. Rich and I and Joe have poured a ton of work into this, along with Pat and everybody else. I have been lucky enough to play baseball my whole entire life. I played it professionally as my job. So I've been around the world, third world countries, Nicaragua, Cuba, name it. This field is currently the worst I've ever stepped foot on. Coaching it over the last 3 years, we could not take ground balls because I was afraid for kids' safeties. I was getting at the field at 2 o'clock for a 6:30 game to water it so kids wouldn't get hurt. I've seen a center fielder that's there now who's a senior, was just running for a fly ball, tripped in a pothole, broke his collarbone. My son is currently not there now because he tore his ACL twice, 9th grade on the football field, last year on the baseball field. And he's currently not going to school here because I've poured my heart into this community and this team. I'm getting emotional because I love those kids and I miss them. But the facility was so bad that I was afraid to put my own kid back out there with a bad knee. So I appreciate the concerns. I've heard them all, from Great Point about the distance to the highway. We have physically stepped them off so we would not remove a tree with some of the renderings we have discussed that we've been a part of. I don't know everything, but I've walked them off. We've had everything moved. We've thought about every question and answered and dotted every I and crossed every T. This is not just for the current kids at Coral Shores. This is for every kid that's in this community. I've seen it when I first started. They would leave us to go other places. I've seen first-round draft picks not play on our field and not come play us because the field is so bad. My son has played in Key West since 8th grade. That field is maintained. Their Little League fields are phenomenal. It's impeccable. We're not asking for anything more than just we feel like it's our turn. And our kids deserve better. Our kids deserve better in Little League. Our kids deserve better in middle school, and they deserve better in high school. And I'm just happy that we're having this meeting.
Joe Molinaro, graduate of Coral Shores in 1991, played baseball for Coach Russell. Back then, the field was at the high school. And I just wanted to give everybody a real-life story about throwing good money at a bad situation. So we've been talking about doing this conceptually for 5 years now, and the school understood that we weren't going to get it at the time we had hoped. And so the school did put money into turfing, resurfacing the infield only last year. And that field lasted about 3 months before all the weeds and everything took over, and we had the same problem. So the school tried to help out a situation, so it's just wasted money, $50,000 or so, trying to help the situation, and we learned that it's just not feasible. Grass is not going to happen. So thank you very much.
Hi again, my name is Josh Moreira with the president of Upper Keys Little League. Like I said earlier, we have currently over 300 kids in Little League. That's 25 teams, including 2 softball. Our softball program is growing. Last summer, we want to continue baseball all year long. Right now, there's only a fall. We're going through the summer. Our field at Key Largo Park had to be resodded, refertilized. The lip of the field gets done. That was done, and John Allen and his crew did a wonderful job this summer, updating everything. We've played already like 8 games, and you can already see the grass getting eaten up. There's already sand in the outfield where there's spots. There's already dug holes. We have kids that want to rush up a ball and get it coming out of the infield, and they're afraid to, and I'm afraid for them too, because if the lip comes up, it's going to hit them right in the face. It's happened last year. It is a problem. No matter how well those staff members keep that field in the pristine shape they try to, it's impossible. We have over 13 games a week in those fields. No matter how good they clean it, no matter how they put clay on there, the grass is cut, there's weeds, there's holes, there's the safety of these kids and the future is dependent on a good field. And I will tell you, when that field gets used, Ed Holly's let us use the fields when they close us down this summer. I have already Little League district presidents, sectionals, and regionals. I told them that this is a possibility of the future. We will host tournaments down here during the summer. They want to come down here. We have already 2 to 3 tournaments in the July where we bring 8 to 10 teams down in each division and play. They want to come down here and play baseball. They love our field. And that would be amazing for them to play on and the future of these kids. Thank you very much.
Steve Friedman, Islamorada resident. I think it's interesting. I think we need to sort of review here. If I took a straw poll right now, I think we'd have overwhelming support for the field and for a new facility. And I'm sure that we still have some people that are concerned about it. I want to make clear for everyone and the council that's here, and hopefully the council that will actually sit down and look at this later, to understand that there is no village money that is going into this. This is district money, and I think everybody is accepting of that fact. What I think we need to do from a practical purpose, really in continuing these comments, is maybe not get into the weeds about the turf and what we need to do and the design and the trees. That steps further. What we need to do now is get the council to agree with us that an agreement has to be reinstated to get this ball rolling. And so once we do that, we can come back, we can do these meetings, and we can talk about how great it's going to be. And we can all have our input into whether we like turf or whether we like grass or whether we like cheerleaders or whether we like animals at the park or hot dogs and beef franks. All of those things we can do at a later time. So I just want to say thank you to the council for allowing us to have this. I hope that everybody understands that this is a process because we do need that transparency. This is a village-owned property, which makes it unique. The other thing is that it is our turn. Our kids are what make this community great. And you come out on any given night on any other part of this besides the high school field, and you will see kids, adults using this facility as intended. We just want to keep that going and use this facility for our high school team and for anything else that is deemed appropriate by the village and the district. Thank you.
For the record, Captain Ed Davidson, former elected member of the school board for 4 years, been to more than 400 school board meetings over the last 25 years. I know how they work and I know who the people are. This public briefing should have happened 2 years ago. The insiders involved in this should have done that. It was a mistake not to do that. And at the 14 November school board meeting, they were told that by 2 of the elected school board current members, that it was a political mistake, shouldn't have happened. Well, now it's finally happening. The elected councilors need to be in control of this. They need to make the decisions that it's been admitted that they are empowered to make. This is not minor improvements. Oh, I also went to one of the better civil engineering schools in the United States for 5 years. This is a wholesale, massive re-engineering of the school. They're going to bulldoze the existing diamond out of existence, and they're going to put a broad, expanded, by their own description, drainage system that's going to drain all of the annual rainfall away from those 89 native trees and out to nearshore waters. AstroTurf, whatever its virtues are, is full of recycled chemicals from the plastics and rubber that most of that stuff is made out of. They're full of PFAS forever chemicals. You can read those about those. There's lots of it in the newspaper. There's contamination and so forth, and those are not chemicals you should want your kids rolling around on the ground in. There's serious environmental impacts of artificial turf, and they need to be dealt with. There's a reason that the state of California has just recently banned artificial turf in the entire state of California forever. Based on science. Based on science. Okay? You heard Mr. LaFear, Captain LaFear, deny that they're going to insist on the 24/7 possessory expanded interest. But that's not what happened at the school board meeting. 2 of the elected members demanded year-round. What they're entitled to, and this is a copy of the permit. I have lots of the documents that they couldn't find in the previous discussions. What they're entitled to is 2:30 to sundown, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, specifically no weekends, for 19 weeks. The other 7 months of the year or totally belong to Islamorada and its citizens and its governance. That's before they fail to properly renew the permits, which no longer have legal effect. The trees, you can't trust them. You need to have a profession. The village needs to document the trees. The village.
Hi, I'm Tommy Kraus, and I just can't stop talking any chance I get. I had 3 boys that went through Coral Shores High School athletic programs. They all played football. They all played lacrosse. Well, I guess we're going to have to talk about a football field next, but what I'd like to talk about a little bit here, being selfish and being a business owner, is the economic impact that we could have on the community by spending this money and it going a long way. We can have tournaments that bring in hundreds of families that over a period of time, where are they staying? They're staying at your B&Bs, they're staying at hotels, they're eating at your restaurants, they're buying my t-shirts. This is an impact on everybody. So if we don't think that we're gonna get this money back, we should look at things like the Orange Bowl. That comes down here. It's a swim program that comes down for a month, and during the summer, and collegiate athletes come down and use our swimming pools, and they come from all over the nation to be here. We're a destination people want to come. You can build around that, and you can make that money back a lot faster than you think for the entire community. That's my other thought.
My name is Van Cadenhead, and I have played ball at Coral Shore since the 3rd grade, and I've played football, baseball, basketball, dodgeball, kickball, and I really think that we should have a Class A facility for the baseball team. Now, how we get there is why we're here tonight. And we've had not much transparency up to this point. I'm very glad to see this meeting here tonight, and I'm glad to see all of you showing your interest for this. And I hope you continue it until the project's over the line, because you can't do the touchdown dance on the 3-yard line. You got to get into the end zone. So I'm hoping that that we can come together and ensure that the village of Islamorada gets the maximum benefit for this, because we're giving up a really expensive piece of property, which I fought for when Coral Shores was rebuilt 25 years ago. I was one of the prime movers that made sure that that baseball field is where it is today. And in those 25 years, we have not had a comprehensive contract that's been re-upped and renewed and rechecked for those 25 years. I hear a lot of people crying the slobber blues because the field was such bad shape. Well, whose fault is that? It's not the fault of the people of Islamorada. It's the fault of the people that never had a contract. The school board never had a succinct contract, because you can't show me the precedent now on paper for the last 25 years about what's happened in Progressive. So we have to establish that now at this particular point, and we have to establish that the people of Islamorada are protected and we get the full use of this facility, and you know, go Canes. I mean, I'm all for having a winning sports program at Coral Shores, because I've been in one there since the 3rd grade, and I've played football on rocks. You know, it's not one of the things that we're going to do now and put up with now, but we have to establish the fact that this land belongs to the people of Islamorada. It's not just to be locked up and used for 5 months of the year by anybody. This is an open facility, and I really hope I see all of you at the next meeting. And I hope more of you get up here and express your opinions. And I hope more of you do emails, and I hope more of you do research, and I hope more of you support Coral Shores Athletics, because I certainly do. Thank you very much.
Yes, Joe Wishmeyer, Plantation Key. I want to say how appreciative I am that we had this meeting. We've been asking for it. In fact, we thought it was going to happen back in January. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of different rumors that have gone around. I will say we have gotten a few different answers tonight. I hope that they stick with what they say, because I don't know of anybody in here who would be against making a field that people aren't going to get hurt on. There's no question about that whatsoever. The only thing that I see is, because this park is so unique, that, you know, what concerned a lot of us is when we saw this first diagram that came out with these 3-story buildings that took up all the sidelines, and it's like that was not going to fit into the park at all. And that's what really got a lot of us concerned, because there was no transparency at the time. So once that came out, now we've dispelled a lot of those rumors, and I hope that we follow through with that. And I just want to say how appreciative I am that you called this meeting to answer some of these questions. Thank you.
I'm going to pull this up if I can. Rich Russell, and I'm a resident of Islamorada. And I should preface that Kimberly, and I'll use baseball vernacular, threw me a curveball. I had 5 minutes prepared here, and probably a blessing that I didn't use the whole 5 minutes. But I was going to address some of the false narratives that have been created in the absence of explanation. I understand, Joe, thank you so much for what you just said. I think you cleared a lot of the air. Speak a little bit about, there were some issues about environmental impact of a turf field. I can tell you that I spent an artificial turf field. I spent the last 4 years scrolling through my Rolodex, talking to ADs across not only this state but others, talking to folks in managerial positions of municipalities, and the overwhelming sentiment. In fact, they fall into 2 categories. Coach certainly helped me here with Coach Holly. And they fall into 2 categories. They either had turf facilities, artificial turf, or they didn't and they wish they did. Mentioned, I think Don or somebody mentioned, you know, what goes on there. We talked about all the water. We talked about the fertilizer. We talked about pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. The question that follows is, where does that stuff go when we pour all that water on it? And the answer clearly is nearshore water, okay? My comments, I'm going to be real condensed. This was what I was going to close with. I've been a resident of Islamorada all my life, since birth. I love our village, and it absolutely breaks my heart to see how divided we become over so many issues. I envisioned, perfectly honest here, I envisioned this project as being something that would consolidate us and bring us back together. I mean, who in the world would, turn an eye to a $5 million contribution? We don't pay a cent for it. But here's the bigger issue. Yes, baseball's needs are addressed for those 5 months, and hopefully beyond for steady bats, et cetera. But here are the other folks that can use the provision described by Mr. LaFear. Girls and boys youth soccer, girls and boys youth lacrosse, the new flag football program, youth baseball, other high school programs that need space when they're overlapping seasons, like between football and soccer. It would be a venue for softball that's real popular in this community. It would be a venue for adult kickball, which has captured the fascination of a lot of folks around here. And more, this new provision could be used for the village, as Pat said, for everything from Easter eggs to things we simply can't envision. It can be done only if it's in turf, artificial turf, and the reverse is just as true. If it's something other than that, to Captain Ed's point, we would almost need to 12 months of the year close it. And the village isn't going to agree to that, nor will our school board. It leaves only one answer. We need to have state-of-the-art artificial turf. I thank you guys and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for bringing us together.
All right,
My name is Phyllis Mitchell, and I live in Islamorada. And I thought we were going to talk to the school board tonight, so I addressed my talk to the school board. So here's what I would tell them. We are asking for what is overdue to us. For years, our high school has had to use our family park to play baseball. Parts of the year, no one can use the baseball field except the high schoolers. We have waited patiently for our turn to have a real stadium like the lower keys kids do. You didn't ask the citizens down south for a big space in their best park. We allowed you to use our park because we had no other choice. We deserve to have a proper place for a professional stadium so that our younger kids can use our baseball park year-round, not just a few months of the year, and maybe never, because it won't be our park. It will ultimately belong to you with your rules. We pay taxes too. We deserve what you have done for the rest of the county. Thank you.
All right, going once, going twice. No other speakers heard. Thank you all again so much for attending this evening. This is an extremely important topic to the community. We thank the school board for all of their contribution tonight and for their willingness to be here and their transparency, for their school board members for attending, and for all of you. So thank you so much. And again, please remember this will not be at the will of the Village Council. This will not be your last opportunity. It will be one of many to speak on this issue as we move forward. So thank you so much, and everyone have safe travels home.